Well, welcome back to 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse, and I'm not in the best of moods. This medical thing has taken a really fucking bad turn, and to be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of dealing with it. I switched primary care physicians and was told that I can't be seen until after the first of the year, which is not going to fucking work because the other office told me that I have a coronary artery disease and I have to be seen by a cardiologist. But being that they have not picked up the phone to call me back, and I talked to the insurance company this morning who called them to try to see what was going on, and they're not picking up the phone. So, honestly, what the fuck? So now I'm sort of screwed because I have nowhere to go and I have to try to see some other doctor who's not in the system. I specifically wanted a doctor who took care of old fucks like me because I guess I'm headed that direction. But typically, I'm not going to get anywhere with this thing. I'll go down and talk to this guy Monday and it'll probably be the same fucking rigmarole I get from everybody. And if that's the case, fuck it. Really. I mean, I've lived life on my own terms this long, and I'm not going to be dictated to by a bunch of fucking paper pushers who basically, you know, everything's got to be done through a fucking smartphone, on the internet, whatever. I can't work that way. And people don't seem to grasp the fact that I'm not fucking good at this. So, sorry if I'm on a rant with this shit, but you know something? This affects everybody, not just me, because, you know, this is fucking bullshit what goes on with these things. These doctors are no better than a fucking bunch of accountants in a firm that keep switching firms all the time. I have yet to establish any kind of rapport with a medical professional in this area. And I've yet to see an actual doctor. All I see is nurse practitioners. So, at this point, whatever fucking happens, happens. No one's promised tomorrow, and I'm going to look death in the face and spit at it, because what else can I fucking do? But on to better things. Latest movie, last night, I guess this is number 12, is the Mighty Peking Man. And I guess Quentin Tarantino's Rolling Thunder's Pictures put this out years ago, and Arrow put it out because Arrow seems to put everything the fuck out, and probably not pay for it, but that's beside the point. But anyway, this is a King Kong ripoff right down to just about everything. It opens up with this Mighty Peking Man who is wearing a suit, and the suit is actually worse than the suit worn in the King Kong vs. Godzilla movie. And he trashes a village, kills a bunch of villagers, steps on them, does a bunch of fucked up shit, whatever. So now there's an expedition launched to capture the Peking Man. Of course, about 90% of the expedition gets killed before they even get there, and the poor hero, Tony, is abandoned, only to be rescued by a jungle girl who has this Peking Man under control. And she's running around in this skimpy little outfit made of skins. It seemed that her parents had crashed there, and as a baby, the Peking Man had rescued her and raised her as his own. But anyway, yeah, that's far-fetched. And then he sort of takes umbrage because the hero beds the girl, and the monkey's looking in the cage and gets all pissed off, and then she has to go out and explain that, I guess, that, you know, maybe penis size measured into this, and his was too fucking big. But any rate, there's a big thing to capture the poor Peking Man and bring him back a la King Kong and bring him back on the fucking boat with all chains and shit. And of course, the tipping point for the Peking Man is they're making him do all these weird tricks and shit like that, feats of strength. But then the evil promoter decides to rape the jungle girl, and the Peking Man sees it and breaks free and goes on a rampage of destruction through the city until all is fucking well again. It's laughable. Don't expect to be scared, amazed, or whatever. It's fucking laughable. It's a Shaw Brothers movie. Run, Run, Shaw, whatever. Golden Harvest. The female lead is Evelyn Kraft, who was in a few other movies. Lady Dracula, I believe. Unfortunately, she passed away at age 57 from heart failure. Here we go again. But she had not done any more acting. She had started a construction charity in Africa, building homes for the underprivileged and the poor and things like that until her untimely death. She was also a mother and a wife. So it's kind of sad to see that. But anyway, if you want a good belly laugh and nothing more, check out the Mighty Peking Man. I was digging through some shit this morning, and I found this. This is the card for my video store. I don't know, I can fade in, fade out, whatever with this damn thing, but past midnight video when I was known as Pete the Trader, before I was known as 42nd Street Pete. That was in the 70s and 80s. I was known as Pete the Trader because basically, according to my card here, I can read it, we buy and sell anything. Clothing, electronics, general merchandise, general titles, cult, karate, horror, sci-fi, adult, kung fu. You want it, I'll find it. And that was pretty much what I did. Somebody wanted a fucking obscure movie, I could find it. And I started out, was part of the Flea Market circuit. I burned myself out in South Jersey in that area because we were in a recession in the 80s and everybody was doing flea markets. So I saw an ad for this place called Rockaway Marketplace, and they were letting people set up outside in the parking lot because there was an indoor flea market. Well, I started doing okay there, and it seemed like North Jersey was a lot better than South Jersey at this point as far as turning over money. So I stayed there. And unfortunately, around that time, my wife got diagnosed with MS and she couldn't work, so I was basically out there all the time. I had a deal with the owner that basically I would set up against the front of his storefront because he had the hardware store out in front, and behind him was the flea market. So I was strictly doing a lot of movies then, and I was the only game in town for a while. I'd have my regular movies and, the X-rated shit under the table. So I'd be there Thursday night, Friday. Well, actually, I'd get up there Thursday and stay there all day, which would bring people in from the highway. And Friday, the same thing. Then Saturday and Sunday, they were open all day, so I'd be there then. What happened was, Alan, the owner of the flea market, I think it was a holiday, we're coming up, I guess it was November. He wanted to collect the rent because things were tight, and of course, all these guys wanted to be open for the holidays. Well, he collected the rent and took off to where he lived in Pennsylvania and faxed in a bankruptcy notice. The landlord came in and told us point blank that we had one more month, Christmas, we could leave after Christmas, and he closed the place up. But after he collected that 1 month's rent, it seems that what Alan was giving him and what he actually got was a whole different story. So he decided to keep the place open, except for one thing. I couldn't be outside anymore. I'd have to come in. And he had sold the hardware store to this guy, Tom, who I became friends with, and Tom wanted me out there. So I said, what do you think? And he goes, it's a shot, dude. Hopefully they'll come in. So I just told everybody the last couple of weeks I was out there, I'm going to be inside. I took a small booth, fingers crossed that it would work, and it did. So I had, a small adult section in the corner, low-keyed, had a TV set up. We'd watch movies on Saturday, and I was, making a living. But I needed more room. So I got to a bigger booth, or the bigger back room, because that's where the money was. Eventually, there was another booth that was selling flags, and they abandoned it. This was like a mini store, actually. You could lock it. It was a locking door. So I made a deal to take that over. It already had the back room. I just put a door on it, put a window to pay through, because people didn't want it, in case, people were shy about seeing what anybody purchased. So I racked it all out with, a bunch of horror. I had a really good video store. Past Midnight Video was a great video store, and there's a lot of people that are probably, some people that are probably watching this would remember it, and a lot of people on Facebook remember it, because I became the go-to guy for, weird stuff up in North Jersey. Plus, my connection with Chiller helped, because I always pushed the show, in my booth, and then people would come to the show, and, where can we find you after the show? And I didn't sell at the show, by the way. People knew what I had, so, where can we find you after the show? And I'd tell them Rockaway. So it worked out, good for a lot of years. Made some friends there, had a lot of crazy adventures. It was this one customer of mine, Freddie, who I might have mentioned, who had spinal bifida and was in a wheelchair. So he was always hanging around. So I say, hey, look, you want to work here? I'll give you X amount under the table, and you can sell your stuff too, because in the summer, nobody comes indoors to a flea market. I had to go outdoors, so I'd be at the Fireman's Field in Jefferson. So we do that, and other guys in there were Ted, good friend of mine, who ran military surplus, and some other characters. And it was like, it was fun. We had, we had cocktail hour, we called it, around around 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon in the winter, we'd send somebody over to get a jug of wine, and we'd, be drinking out of these crystal fucking goblets. And by about 5:30, we were just about shit-faced to the point where we couldn't drive home. So it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the landlord got a bug up his ass about getting somebody in to upgrade the place. And these guys came in with all this bullshit that they were going to basically kick us out for 3 months, redo the place, and bring us in at 3 times the rent. I got very vocal about this and said that, me being out of here for 3 months is basically being out of business. They didn't see it that way, so we went back and forth, back and forth. Ted just said, fuck it, and got a store down the road on the highway. A lot of people got out. A lot of people wanted me to get a store, but the fucking sticking point was the adult stuff. And then I just noticed that, even though I was trying to liquidate a bunch of stuff, the party was over. What I was getting $10 for, I couldn't even get 5 by then. So little by little, I just let it go and liquidated it out. And after that happened, I basically was in a bad situation because I had nowhere to fucking go. There was nowhere I could go. The flea markets were kind of dead. And there was something about, even with the Fireman's Field, they said when I pulled out of there, I had no choice, I had no merchandise, that basically, for some reason, that place died too. So it was time to get out. And after I got out, I got the call from Norman about, what are you doing now? And I said, well, store's folded up, sort of fucked. And then I wound up going over there, and he sucked me into working for him, which I've told stories about. So that was the whole, past midnight video story. And that damn, it had to be about a 10-year run, I think, long run. And like I said, still in touch with a few people. Like I said, some of you might be watching it here too. So, yeah. So, sorry for the opening rant. Actually, I'm not sorry. People have a right to know what's going on in this world, and I know this ain't supposed to be political. But, all this bullshit about making healthcare part of corporate America is what fucked it all up. And I don't see how this is going to change. We need universal health care with fucking doctors that actually give a shit and people that actually care about their patients instead of these, lack of better words, clerks. So don't know where I'm going to end up, but we'll find out. So until next time, stay safe. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side.